Today we're going to be looking at a really obscure Plants vs. Zombies plush that just not a lot of people know about. As I didn't even know about this plush until really recently. But yeah, with that said, welcome to a look at the Plants vs. Zombies Bootleg Chili Bean plush set. Starting off with the first plush, we have the Peashooter. Now, the leaf base on this plush looks alright. Just like most bootleg plushes though, the leaf base just looks a bit off as well, but it just seems to be a bit too skinny on this plush. But the shape of the leaves do look accurate, so yeah, honestly, it's not that bad compared to some leaf bases I've seen, but still, it does sort of look weird. The stem on this plush seems to be pretty well made, as well, but it just seems to be a normal stem, and well, the only really strange part about the plush is that the Peashooter's head is just really small. As you can tell, the leaf base is just much bigger than the head for some reason. Well, for whatever reason, the Peashooter's head is just really small, and it looks strange. And while the rest of the details like the eyes on the head also looks weird as well, for some reason the eyes are facing opposite directions, which just give it a really weird look. The head also seems to be pretty weirdly shaped and everything, so yeah, overall if it wasn't for the head on this plush, the rest of the plush would be alright. But for whatever reason, they just really messed up the head on this plush for some reason, but yeah, overall it looks pretty strange. And well, for the rarity of these plushes, basically every single plush in this set is actually pretty hard to get. And while I haven't really seen many listings of these plushes, so some of them are kind of common compared to others, but yeah, it just kind of matters where you look, as though sometimes you'll find them pretty easily, but other times you won't be able to find them at all. But your best bet of finding them is most likely on eBay. Next up we have the Sunflower. Now the leaf base used on this plush seems to basically be the exact same leaf base as the Peashooter, and well, for the stem it seems to also be the exact same, but just slightly skinnier than the Peashooter stem. And while for the face on this plush, it looks alright. The embroidery does look pretty good, as it was basically a complete copy of the Lynxen plush. And while unlike the Peashooter, they actually did a pretty good job with this bootleg this time, as of a lot of the details actually look pretty accurate. As of all the petals look pretty good, but some of them are for whatever reason just really weirdly bent on the side of it, but besides that they look pretty good. And while the shape of the face and all the embroidery and everything actually look pretty accurate compared to the normal Lynxen Sunflower plush, so they actually did a good job with it. So yeah, for a bootleg Sunflower plush, it actually doesn't really look that bad, and they did an alright job with it. Next up we have the Cherry Bomb. Now, for the left side of the face, they did a pretty good job with the embroidery and everything, and it basically looks perfectly accurate. And while for the right side of the face, they also did a pretty good job with it. The only thing that I don't really like about it, though, is that the eyes are just a bit too close together. As I feel like it would have looked better if the eyes were just slightly further apart, but besides that, the faces on these plush seem to be pretty nicely made, and they also look to be nicely embroidered on. And while the shape of the actual cherries look pretty accurate to the Lynxen plush, so they did a good job with that, and the leaf seems to be made out of a felt material, and it seems to be basically the exact same as the Lynxen plush. Meaning that the leaf could get damaged because it's made out of a felt material, so it could collect debris and dust and also get bent. And while the stems on this plush also have the exact same problem, just like the Lynxen plushes, though since they're only glued onto the leaf, they could fall off. But yeah, once again, it's actually a pretty accurate looking bootleg for the plush is based off of. The only really thing that does look inaccurate is that the one face sort of looks a bit weird. But yeah, just like the Sunflower plush in the set, they actually did a really good job with it. Next up we have the Chomper. Now, the leaf base on this plush looks pretty good, and well, in this one picture that I have of it, you can't really see the stem. As of if you look really closely, you can sort of see the purple part of the stem, but I'm assuming it's basically the exact same stem as the other plushes in this set, well, that's what most bootleg companies usually do. And well, for the actual face on this plush, it looks pretty accurate to the Lynxen one, and it actually seems more accurate to the redesigned Chomper. As of it actually just resembles the redesigned Chomper a lot more than the original Lynxen plush, so it does sort of look weird. The spikes on the top of the head could get bent and damaged pretty easily, and same thing with the teeth. And well, for the rest of the face on this plush, it seems to be pretty nicely stuffed, and the mouth on this plush has some cardboard in it, so it continue to open and close. But yeah, honestly, it's pretty weird that this plush more resembles the redesigned Chomper made by Lynxen 2 than the actual original Lynxen plush. As of I really have no idea why you would make a bootleg of the redesigned plush when the redesigned plush already sorta looks like the bootleg of the original Lynxen one. So yeah, overall, it's just a pretty weird decision, but it still looks alright. Next we have the Fum Shoum. Now, the embroidery on the face on this plush looks really good actually, as well the only really downside to it is that the embroidery is just a bit too thick. As well the embroidery on the actual Fum Shoum plush should be just a bit skinnier, but besides that, they actually just did a really good job with the face. And while they also got the correct color and everything, which some bootlegs don't actually do, as well, I've seen some with really dark green or really light green faces, but this company actually did a good job with it. And well, for the cap on this plush, it looks pretty good. The shooter part of the plush also looks nice as well, but seems to be really nicely stuffed and everything, and it looks pretty accurate. And well, for the purple dots on the head, they seem to be basically the exact same as the Lynxen plush, and they look really accurate. And while this plush is overall just really nicely stuffed, and it's basically the exact same as the Lynxen plush, but just with a few really tiny changes. And well, in my opinion, this Fum Shoum plush is actually one of the better plushes in the set, I just really like how it looks. Next up, we have the Blover. Now, in my opinion, this definitely has to be the most common and most well-known plush in the entire set, there was actually a listing on eBay for this plush for a while. I just remember seeing it available for a really long time, but I'm not sure if it's still available on eBay, but it might still be there. But yeah, for the longest time, you actually just saw this Blover plush, and well, it doesn't really look that bad. There's only really one bad detail about the plush, everything else is accurate besides the leaves. This entire plush was basically perfect, but they just ended up messing it up by putting the 2 leaves on the side of the head just way too far up. All they had to do is just move the leaves just a few inches down, and it would just look a lot better. So yeah, honestly, that's really the only bad part about the plush, the leaves itself look pretty good, they have some embroidery in the middle of them just to give it a bit more detail. And well, for the actual embroidery on the face, it looks really accurate to the Lynxen plush, and the rest of the plush is just really nicely stuffed. The dirt base to it and also the stem just look really nicely made and everything, and the only really bad part about the plush are the leaves. And while this would probably be the most accurate plush in the entire set if it wasn't for the leaves just looking weird. But yeah, once again, it's really not that bad of the plush, it just has one detail, which if it was just slightly changed, it would be a lot better. Next up, we have the Cactus. Now, just like the Chomper plush in the set, this one actually seems to be more based off of the redesigned Cactus. Basically every single part of this plush basically looks the exact same as the redesigned Cactus, which is just another really strange thing with this plush set. But yeah, for the actual plush itself, it seems to be really nicely stuffed, and the actual body of the Cactus looks pretty accurate. The spikes on this plush could obviously get damaged, since they're made out of a felt material, they could just get bent and damaged really easily. And while the shooter part of the plush is just facing down for some reason, it seems to be understuffed. If they just slightly stuffed it a bit more and made it so it actually looked normal, it would just overall just be a lot better. And while the embroidery on the eyes look pretty good, but for whatever reason, on this certain plush in the image, one of the eyes are actually a lot weirder than the other one. And well, for the top of the plush, there's some felt material up there, and well, it could get damaged on the flower. And well, the flower part of the plush on the top of the head is actually the most easily damageable part of the plush, there's just lots of pieces of felt material. But yeah, honestly, it's really not that bad of a plush. The only really strange thing about it, though, is that it's not based off of a Lynxen plush, and it looks to be more based off of the Lynxen 2 design. Next, we have the twin sunflower. Now, leaf base and stems on this plush look pretty good, and well, they're basically completely accurate to the Lynxen plush. But the faces on this plush actually look a bit more unique, as though they were slightly changed. As you can tell, the petals on these plushes basically seem to be the exact same, but the embroidery on the face actually just looks slightly different. As though they basically use the exact same design as the normal sunflower face, except they just added eye shines to it. And while I think the eye shines on this plush actually looks really good, as though there's just this really light brown color that looks really nice. As though they actually seem to be more of a hazel color, and I really like that, as though it just makes the eyes stand out a bit more on this plush, and it looks good. But yeah, overall, the embroidery on the face is definitely the best part about this plush, and overall, the rest of the plush seems to be pretty accurate to the Lynxen one, and they did a good job with it. Next up, we have the Cattail. Now, the leaf face on this plush is lacking a bit of details, although the leaves really don't have any definition to them, and they're just kind of roundish. So it does end up making them look pretty weird, but besides that, the embroidery on the face looks really good and is basically completely accurate to the Lynxen plush. But once again though, the face is lacking a bit of detail, as well, but it's just really flat looking and everything, and it looks sort of strange. And well, for the actual hat on this plush, it looks pretty good, and while all the details like the ears and everything look pretty good, and it also seems to be pretty nicely stitched on. And well, for the actual cattail part of the plush, we could barely see it, but it seems to basically just be the exact same as the Lynxen plush. But yeah, this definitely has to be one of the most uninteresting plushes in the entire set, as it's basically just the Lynxen plush with just slightly less detail. So yeah, honestly, compared to the rest of the plushes in this set, this is just sort of a random looking bootleg that doesn't really have anything special about it. But in terms of details and everything, it's really not that bad. It's basically just the Linkson plush if they just forgot more of the small details. Next we have the Bersa. Now just like the Cattail plush, this plush is basically just an exact copy of the Linkson one, but just with slightly less detail. As the leaf base looks pretty good, it is a bit small, but besides that, it looks basically perfect. And while the embroidery on the face is also a bit small, as I think the eyes and mouth should just be a tiny bit bigger, but besides that, it looks fine. And well, honestly, the rest of the plush is basically just the exact same as the Linkson one, but it's just pretty nicely stuffed and everything. The shooter part of the plush looks pretty good, and everything else looks nice. Just like the Linkson Bersa plush, the leaf could get damaged because it's made out of a felt material, so it could get bent and damaged, and could also fall off because it's only glued on. But yeah, once again, just like the Cattail plush, is just really lacking compared to some of the other plushes in this set. So it's basically just the Linkson plush, but just with some really small details that are missing. So yeah, honestly, there's just really nothing that makes it special. And well, moving on to the next plush, we have the Chili Bean. Now, for the embroidery on the face and everything, it looks basically perfect, and it basically uses all the exact same details as the Linkson plush. And well, the shape of the Chili Bean also looks pretty good, so basically everything about it looks perfect besides the color of it. As of one thing that you'll notice about this plush is that it's just a really dull looking color. As of it looks like that they just took the normal Linkson Chili Bean plush and just made it a lot darker, and it makes the plush just look really strange. As of you can still sort of tell that it's an orange color, it just looks really toned down and it looks sort of strange. But yeah, besides just the really weird color on this plush, the rest of it looks pretty good. It's honestly not that bad of a bootleg if the color was actually the correct way. And well, it's also a pretty important plush, as well, that's literally where the name of the set comes from. But yeah, overall, the set isn't really that bad. There's a few plushes that sort of look weird, but overall, it's really not that bad of a bootleg set, and they did a good job with most of the plushes. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, please like and subscribe, and comment down below which plush in it says your favorite, and yeah, have a great day.